Tudor watches, including the Oyster Prince, Oyster Date, and the famous Tudor Submariner, undeniably reflected Rolex's design influence when viewed side by side. During this period, Tudor watches offered nearly identical utility, making them appealing to budget-conscious government and military organizations. The US Navy, French Navy, and various global militaries even issued Tudor submariners. Meanwhile, Rolex submariners were best known for their association with the Royal Navy of Great Britain. Although Tudor had its historical significance, it's an oversimplification to view it as just a more affordable Rolex for the first few decades of its existence. Many Tudor models, like the Snowflake submariners and the Monte Carlo chronographs from the 1970s, displayed distinctive designs. Nevertheless, Tudor often played a similar design game to Rolex, even packaging some models under similar brand names, causing potential confusion. Establishing its unique identity outside of Rolex's shadow presented a considerable challenge. The Rolex narrative is well known, featuring iconic models like the Datejust, Explorer, and Submariner, and the GMT Master that became cultural fixtures. Tudor, while releasing excellent watches, often lived in Rolex's shadow. This was evident when Tudor withdrew from the American market in the late 1990s and the 2000s, a significant market move. Now, let's fast forward to the last decade and consider Tudor in a more contemporary context. The perception of Tudor as a budget Rolex begins to blur. Around 2010, Tudor initiated strategic discussions, leading to a revamped market approach. They re-entered previously abandoned regions and introduced two original model lines, the Tudor Pelagos and the Black Bay. While both models found success, the Black Bay signaled the brand's new direction. Tudor aimed to redefine its position in the market, marking a significant shift. Tudor's progress continued with the introduction of the North Flag, known for its distinctive design and an open case back, offering a view of Tudor's first in-house caliber. The brand then extended its use of in-house calibers to various other lines. Additionally, Tudor collaborated with Breitling to incorporate a Breitling chronograph movement, the B01, into one of their watches, the Black Bay Chrono. These transformations mark a significant departure from Tudor's approach 2 decades ago. The quote, "The problem that I have with Tudor is I'm always thinking, why am I not getting a Rolex?" can be addressed by recognizing that both Tudor and Rolex have evolved over time, shifting from their historical positions under the guidance of Hans Wilsdorf. Rolex stands as an exceptional example of brand success and product branding. Ask anyone on the street to name a watch brand, and Rolex is likely to be the first, if not the only name that comes to mind. Their vertical integration, timeless design, and broad consumer appeal have set them apart as an anomaly in the watch industry. On the other hand, Tudor has taken a less straightforward path in its evolution. However, the past decade has redefined the comparison between the two brands, and in today's context, modern Tudor is no longer a mere affordable alternative to Rolex. A closer look reveals a significant difference in design and brand ethos between modern Tudor and its vintage counterparts. The choice between Tudor and Rolex is no longer solely based on price. This transformation is primarily attributed to Tudor's innovative strides, including the development of competitive in-house movements and a reimagining of their design DNA with standalone models while retaining signature elements like the snowflake hand. While design elements may link these brands, the reasons for selecting one over the other have become distinct. The comparison between Tudor and Rolex is no longer a straightforward apples-to-apples endeavor. Take a look at these Tudor models, the North Flag, Heritage Chrono, Black Bay Ceramic, and Pelagos with titanium, open case backs, or sterling silver cases. Would Rolex ever venture into such territories? On the flip side, I doubt Tudor will revisit the likes of the Submariner or Oyster Prince. They ventured so far from Rolex's path, establishing their unique lane. They've created models that shine independently, no longer in Rolex's shadow. Rolex, the mass-market luxury brand, transcends product categories. They lead the way, not as Hans Wilsdorf initially envisioned, but by adapting and evolving within their market position. Every watch brand admires Rolex's ascent in the industry. When comparing Tudor and Rolex today, it's not a matter of Tudor versus Rolex, but more Tudor and Rolex. Many Rolex enthusiasts appreciate Tudor as well. Both brands have distinct directions, and you can see the separation in their goals. There's been a notable shift in what Tudor offers compared to decades ago. Tudor has defined its preconceived image, offering innovative lines like the Black Bay, and they're taking unique approaches like using a sterling silver case. This is quite unconventional, and Rolex likely wouldn't explore such territory. Tudor experiments with open case backs on sports watches, utilizes titanium, and embraces heritage and vintage designs, evident in the Black Bay and Rolex Submariner. Tudor and Rolex, two esteemed names in the world of horology, share the common ground of dive watches and bear certain design elements that reflect their shared heritage. However, a closer examination reveals that their contemporary approaches have taken them down distinct paths. Consider, for instance, the enduring classic, the Rolex Submariner. Its timeless design is a hallmark of what Rolex represents, showcasing a commitment to a more traditional aesthetic. In contrast, the Tudor Black Bay encapsulates a contemporary take on the dive watch, reflecting a willingness to explore new design horizons. But the narrative extends beyond aesthetics. Each brand offers an array of timepieces, each with its unique character and appeal. Tudor has not shied away from experimenting with unconventional materials like sterling silver for cases or open case backs on sports watches. This represents a willingness to embrace innovation while respecting its heritage. Rolex, on the other hand, continues to define itself through its iconic models, adhering to a more conservative design approach. Both brands have their place in the world of watchmaking, with Rolex achieving near universal recognition. However, Tudor's willingness to take risks and deviate from Rolex's well-trodden path should not be overshadowed. So, when we discuss Tudor versus Rolex, it transcends a mere price comparison. It's a conversation about the evolution of two distinct brands, each offering unique experiences to enthusiasts. Reducing Tudor to being a mere cheaper Rolex is an oversimplification that fails to acknowledge the nuanced differences and exciting directions both brands have taken. I genuinely believe that the factors attracting someone to Tudor watches might also be found in Rolex, and vice versa. In conclusion, while it's true that Tudor offers more affordable options than Rolex, the comparison isn't just about price in 2021. Over the past decade, Tudor has embarked on a journey that sets it apart, echoing certain practices and aesthetics of mid-20th century Rolex. They've forged their own path, with unique design elements and innovative practices. As time progresses, the distinction between the two brands becomes even more pronounced. I'm glad you enjoy the content. It's always fascinating to see the diverse opinions and discussions sparked by these topics. Your active participation in the comment section is appreciated. As always, we'll be here ready to bring you more insightful discussions in the future. Don't forget to engage with us by liking, commenting, and subscribing to our channel. That way, you'll stay updated on all the exciting content we have in store.